The latest episode of Loose Women podcast, Just Between Us, is out today. And in this one, Coleen talks to Judi about how she navigated caring for her mum.
With my mum before her Alzheimer's, we knew she had to go into a home because she was getting to the point where it was dangerous on her own and with us because we weren't trained, and it was 24/7 and we all worked. So she couldn't be left alone. But we did this thing of you can choose it. And in actual fact, the one I would have chosen for her, she hated. It was brand new. It was like a 5-star hotel.
Yeah.
And it was brand new and it was all this, that and the other in her own bathroom and all modern and beautiful. She went, well, I'm not staying here.
No, she didn't.
Oh, she hated it.
See, and this is the thing.
But the one she picked, when we walked in, I went, oh, she won't like this one. I like this one, it's homely.
I have to say this really resonates with me because obviously I went through something very similar with my mum a couple of years ago and we had such terrible fights about it. And I get it because she's a very strong, independent woman and she'd lived in her house for years and she wanted to stay there. And I tried to facilitate that for as long as I could, but there comes a point when you have dementia that you are a danger to yourself, actually. And I think it was after her third fall, she was back in hospital again and they sort of said to me, look, you know, it can't go on like this. She can't keep coming back to hospital. She really shouldn't be living on her own. So in a way, we were having terrible fights about it. I was saying, look, you've got to be cared for. And she was like, I don't want it, and da-da-da, in her more lucid moments. And in the end, I just said to her, look, the authorities are insisting on it because you keep falling over and whatever. For you. And I have to say now, it's 2 years ago, and she came out for lunch at my house on Sunday. I picked her up, and I see her all the time, obviously. And I can be her daughter now, rather than that person that's constantly sort of going, don't do this, don't do this. Yeah, exactly. And she was only there about 20 minutes, and she suddenly went, can I go home now? Yeah. And she's settled.
And it's so lovely where she is. I've been.
Oh, it's gorgeous. And they're lovely. That all the staff that look after her are incredible. But, you know, it's tough. You've been through similar, haven't you?
Yeah, and I think the hardest thing is trying to talk someone into doing something that they absolutely resolutely don't want to do. I mean, when my mum was first diagnosed, and she was already quite far along the path then, when she was first diagnosed with dementia, I tried to persuade her to move into a little cottage in the village next to us, and I was going to get her a carer, and she was like, I'm not moving she lived in Scotland at the time, I'm not moving, I'm not doing it. And so that sort of option then disappeared. And as she got worse, finally she came down to stay with us and she spent a month with us. And it was like being burgled every single night. I'd wake up in the morning and the house was just destroyed. She'd be crazy trying to get out of it. Finally, I took her to a really nice home down the road that was just literally half a mile away. And I thought, this is perfect. And they phoned me up after 8 hours and said I had to come and get her because she'd been prowling the grounds with a knife.
Oh,
and then in my garden, I looked out the window and she was walking past with an axe. And I went out to get the axe over her. I said, Mum, what are you doing? And she went, I'm just going to do my toenails. Leave me alone. I was like, OK, this has just gone too far. But actually, it was my brother who finally took her to... Because by that point, then we had to take her to a home that absolutely specialised in dementia, which meant there wasn't a lot of outside space, which meant they had to be... And it was heartbreaking. And she was really... I mean, she was lucid for the moment when he brought her in, wouldn't you know it? And she went, I'll never forgive you. And my heart broke for him. But, you know, there just wasn't a choice. And yet, you know that you're breaking their heart, you're breaking your own. It's horrible.
Do you feel any guilt when you have to make that decision?
Huge.
It is a big decision to make. How was it for you?
You see, I'm not very good at guilt. I refuse to feel guilt about anything. I refuse to feel guilt about my parenting, and I refuse to feel guilt about, you know, looking after my mum. I'm an only child, and I just think in life we're all just doing our best. And, you know, my mother is now somewhere where she is well cared for, and my head hits the pillow at night, and I feel that she's safe. And I never did when she was living on her own. I was always like, you know, if the phone... I was like, oh, is that something? Oh, and, you know, we're all getting a much more peaceful life because of it.
It's funny because I always use your example when I'm talking to Mark, because it's my husband. He also is an only child and his mum is unbelievably stubborn, like we all are. Don't ask me to leave my
We'll
home.
all be
I
like
get
this,
it.
by the way. You do know that.
I mean, none of us
I
want to leave our homes, and
Yeah.
that's us in who knows how many years,
And
possibly.
she absolutely didn't want to come to us. And she said, we'll just be rowing the whole time, her and him, because they've rowed all through their life. But it's really painful watching his guilt, because it is eating him up. And what does it do? You know, I always use the example, how does she do it? How does she do it? I said, by doing what you can within those limits that she's giving you, which at the moment are extremely strict.
Also,
I want this,
what's
I want
best
to be at
for
home, I
Mark?
want to be this, I want to be that, I want this, I only want this. And I mean, it got to the point where she did end up in hospital because there was ambulances coming almost every day. She was falling over.
And
then
they
I
won't
was
want
like,
that cost.
yeah, and I was like, what about people that might be having a heart attack, you know, that need that, and then arguing with them for an hour that she doesn't want to go to hospital.
But that's really
And it
interesting you
became
say, what
ridiculous.
about Mark? Because that's the thing that you're kind of taught not to think, isn't it? That you're sort of, that's the embarrassing thing, is if you're thinking about yourself in that environment, and I bet he feels...
He does. He just feels like everything that he's doing, he should be doing more. That's the thing. I think it's our default setting, isn't it?
Yeah.
Even with our children, we're just like, oh yeah, we've done. But Jane never does that, and I think it's such a good thing to say. I am trying my absolute best, and that's what I'm
that's
doing.
all you can do.
And that's all that you can do. And you just have to keep like a mantra.
OK, well, you can hear Coleen and Judi tackle more dilemmas like that on the new episode of Loose Women, Just Between Us right now, along with all the episodes so far. Listen on your usual podcast app, or you can watch it on YouTube, ITVX and the STV player.